1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All.
One of resistance.
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Rebellion.
Rebellion is built on hope.
And redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Welcome to Star Wars Reactions, everybody. We are happy and excited to be back. We have an awesome episode planned for y'all this week. It is going to be great. We've got something new for you, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. My name is Aaron Harris. I'm one half of your hosting team, and joining me, he is an incredible guy. Let's say it. He's the Zeb to my Ezra. David Motters.
Well, hey, buddy, that is a good one, right? Zeb he's a big, tall guy, and that helps. And Ezra, that's a perfect one. It always kind of gets messed up when you're like, well, David's my R2D2 to my C3PO. But even then, when you do it, I'm like, absolutely, buddy. I'm your sidekick. I'm your co-host, your brother, and thank you for the kind words. And I feel the same way about you. And I love that we can record, buddy.
Absolutely. And this is going to be a great show. I put a little teaser out there about what's coming. So hopefully you have seen that online and you have come to have your guesses about what we're doing. So, but before we get into that, we got to go over some news. There's been a lot of news going on since we have last recorded. And I just want to hit on some of those. We're recording today is Tuesday, the 16th of February, the day we're recording. You'll actually see this live on Wednesday, the 17th, is when it will be released. But today, Tuesday, the 16th of February, it was actually announced on the StarWars.com website that we are getting a new limited comic series from Marvel, written by the fabulous Charles Soule. Did you see this, David?
I hadn't been on StarWars.com today. Usually I'm on every day. Obviously on Thursdays for This Week in Star Wars. I did not get on it today. So when you and I do the show notes together. So when I saw that you popped that in, I was like, sweet. So, I love that you got this in here, but I hadn't seen it. But I love Charles Soule. I never mince words about that. So this looks really cool, buddy.
Well, this is going to be great. And if you get a chance, you need to go to the website and check out StarWars.com and check out the website. Check out this article about it because there's some fabulous artwork in there just teasing what's coming. This new series is pretty much something that everybody's been wanting, has wanted it in one way or another. This series is going to be called War of the Bounty Hunters. It's a 5-issue micro series that they're going to be releasing starting in June, and it explores what happened to Boba Fett between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. In the article, it actually talks about, he goes, when he leaves Cloud City with Han in Carbonite, he doesn't go straight to Jabba.
Right.
So what happens between there and the time he gets to Tatooine? And this explores it. And with the fabulous writing of Charles Soule, who just wrote recently Light of the Jedi, this is going to be a fabulous comic series. This is one that I'm going to have to, I'm working at home, so I don't have my regular comic contact anymore. I'm actually going to have to go find a comic store I can get this from.
Yeah.
Because I am so looking forward to this series.
Oh, me too. I'll tell you one thing, and I think you and I have talked about it before. His run of Vader comics, there's been 3 volumes now, basically. There's a third, run of Vader. It gets a little confusing. I've heard other podcasts and other Star Wars fans talk about it, how they, it can get a little confusing. But if you read Charles Soule's Vader run, it's incredible, bar none. And when I hear, like I said, Aaron, other Star Wars fans talk about it, I don't hear people saying, "Oh, I didn't like that. I didn't like Charles Soule." Everyone has liked it, and I feel the same way. I've read it a number of times, just outstanding. So to see him handle this, I mean, does it anyway like he did Vader. I hear all kinds of good things about his Star Wars, the main line right now. I have not kept up with that. That's for between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi as well. If he does that, or like Light of the Jedi, then Star Wars fans are going to be really happy. He hasn't put anything out, in my opinion, that was substandard. Everything's been excellent. So there's no reason to think this won't be, outstanding as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be great. As a matter of fact, if you look at the article and you read the article, Charles Soule even says he thinks that this 5-issue comic series, he says he thinks it's his best work to date. Which says something with the amount of awesomeness this man has put out in comic and in book form. So this is exciting. This is going to be great. Who doesn't like Boba Fett stories? And it couldn't be at a better time because we're gearing up for December for the Book of Boba Fett series. So bring it.
Good point, buddy. And with what we just concluded with season 2 of The Mandalorian. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So be on the lookout for that. Hit up your local comic stores. Get your orders in. That way they can hold it for you and you don't miss an issue. All right. Star Wars Insider magazine. Fabulous magazine. If you've not seen one, I definitely check it out. You can subscribe to it and get it mailed to you, or of course pick it up at your local bookstore. Great magazine, gives you all sorts of interviews and fun stuff. Just celebrated their 200th issue. 200th issue. That is a huge milestone for a magazine like this that specializes in just literally one genre. So awesome, and congratulations to the staff and everybody at Star Wars Insider for 200 issues.
Yeah.
Episodes.
Well, I picked up the special cover by, is it Makomo? I can't remember. It's a comic book artist right now that's really popular. My comic book shop had that edition, not the newsstand, and not the, there's 3 editions, right? There's the newsstand, there's the subscriber, and then there's the comic book store exclusive. And I did pick it up at my comic book shop. And so obviously I will be sending that to you and future insiders, because you and I've talked about sharing those and staying up on the High Republic fiction in those. So, yep. So you and I are going to be rocking and rolling in those, buddy.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be great to see those. So yeah, check out Star Wars Insider. It's a fabulous thing. And what's great too is they're starting to have little comic strips about and little story, mini stories, short stories related to the High Republic in there as well. So I'm looking forward to those as well. So 200 out on book stands now. So check it out. Newsstands, not book stands. Jeez, that's the word I was looking for, was newsstands. Carabast. We need to reverse that. I use Carabast more, so I should probably have been Zeb, and you should have been Ezra.
I know. That is true.
Oh well. So season 3 of The Mandalorian, it has been announced that it will start filming in April. So I expect if they start filming in April, I would think it'd probably be middle of next year before we see the actual season.
This is a change, right, buddy? Because what we initially heard from, I think, Disney, Lucasfilm, or from other podcast outlets, was that they were going to start filming Mandalorian season 3 after they finished filming the Book of Boba Fett. And now they're saying they're going to start filming. And it was Favreau, right, that announced it, that they were going to start filming in the spring, which is just great. That's great news. And yeah, and definitely, I think we'll obviously still see Book of Boba Fett in December and see this probably, a year from now, maybe, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, as soon as we get more information on release dates for that, we will let you know. But season 3 is going forward from what we're hearing, and it'll be start filming in April. So, all right. So, last but not least in the news is Mandalorian related. Um, this has been this is a very hot topic right now. This is something that happened a couple days ago from our recording this. As everybody is well aware, it has been all over the news. It's been all over social media. If you're on social media, it's out there. It's fact that Lucasfilm and Gina Carano have parted ways. Gina Carano, of course, playing Cara Dune in season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. It was not a friendly separation. It was essentially released from where she's not current. Disney or Lucasfilm released a statement saying she is not a employee of the company and will not be. They have an issue with her social media postings, which some people have had issues with. So that's the story right there. We're not going to engage in political debates or anything like that. Those are the facts, and you can make up your mind what you believe about them, and that is that. So with that, we're going to wrap up our news. Of course, you can always stay tuned to our social media, and of course, listen in. News breaks. We will let you know all about it. So, yes, let's go into our. This is something I'm really excited about, David. I don't know. When I texted you, this is something I presented to you last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
This was an idea that kind of I had been chewing on for a while, and I finally decided, we should do it. And I messaged you to get your thoughts. All over the place on Star Wars websites, Star Wars podcasts, everybody does character profiles. Oh, we're going to do a 4-part series on Obi-Wan Kenobi and break down all the details of his life and dig into the nitty-gritty. Those are great shows. Don't get me wrong. Love them. Some of my favorite shows have been those type of profile shows. But everybody always covers those main characters. Kenobi, Skywalker, Solo, Princess Leia. The main characters always get broken down and analyzed time after time after time. The movies get broken down and analyzed time after time after time. We wanted to do something different, and I got this idea where we're going to begin a series of profile shows where we will be breaking down and looking at different characters from the saga, but not the main characters. We're going to be looking at secondary characters. Secondary characters that you may recognize when you see them. You may recognize their names when you see them. You may know where they're from, but they have very little screen time or very little recognition outside of where you've seen them from. And basically explore their lives. Because, if they're a character in Star Wars, they've impacted the saga in some way. Even Dexter Jettster in the diner in Attack of the Clones had an impact on the story. So we wanted look at characters like that. No, we're not doing Dexter Jettster today. I'll add him to the list, though, because that's a good one. It just popped into my head. We're going to take a look at these type of secondary characters and bring them to you from a different perspective. We're going to look at where if they've been in animation or in the movies. We're going to look at books and stuff that they've been in, if there's anything like that, and just basically bring you the story and profiles of these characters. And I'm super excited for this. How about you, David?
Absolutely. Well, when you brought this up, it actually two things really came to mind. Was you and I had talked at the end of Mandalorian season 2 about continuing the psychology corner, and we knew that we wanted to do that. I really enjoyed it. We've got really good feedback on it. You know, heard from other people that they really enjoyed it, and so it provided a great opportunity to continue that. But also, when you mentioned it, I loved it because Star Wars fans, we love the minutia. We love background characters. We love looking at these movies and animated shows and saying who's that and that and that, and right. I mean, Star Wars fans are like that, and so I thought for that reason it'd be a lot of fun to do this. Like you said, Luke and Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, all of them have been looked at so many times. And I just thought this is the perfect time to look at these characters and share some psychology with our listeners.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that we're getting to do this. And I'm not saying down the road we won't do some of the main characters like Han and Leia and Vader and them, because there's a lot to be dug into on that. And I'm sure you can do multiple episodes of Psychology Corners just on Vader, Anakin Vader. But we wanted to do something different and bring these secondary characters into the light and expand on their quote unquote 15 minutes of fame, because they do have meaning. Which brings us to this week's show and this week's profile. This week we're looking at Zare Leonis. Who is Zare Leonis, you ask? Why, we will tell you. Zare Leonis actually got his debut in Star Wars Rebels, is where you first saw him. He actually made appearances in 2 episodes. The first episode, he was a little more prominent appearing in that episode, and that was Breaking Ranks from season 1. He was an Imperial cadet that Ezra was in a unit with when he was undercover as Dev Morgan. And he was also in, oh my gosh, I just blanked on it. What was the other episode? Vision. Oh my gosh. It was same season. It's just a couple episodes later. Hold on.
I know.
I wrote everything down except that. Vision of Hope.
Vision of Hope. Okay, yeah.
Vision of
and
Hope.
He's in that last. He's in that last.
Everything down in the show notes except that.
Yeah.
And you, what'd you say with that?
Well, I said, and he's just not in that as much as he was the Breaking Ranks episode.
Correct. Yeah, his appearance in Vision of Hope was very ancillary. He just showed up for literally 2 or 3 minutes. Not even that. Maybe had half a dozen lines. That's it. Before he was gone again. But in Breaking Ranks, we really got to see the guy. We got to meet him. We got to find out a little bit about his character and about his history and everything, and it was an interesting character. And the way they set it up, and especially when they brought him back a few episodes later in Vision of Hope, this was a character I thought we would be seeing more regularly through the series, and we didn't.
No, I was hoping to. Yeah,
I was very surprised by that. He just kind of fell off the face of the. Well, he kind of fell off the face of the planet, which makes sense because at the end of Vision of Hope, he's an Imperial cadet. That's and we'll go into more details about his history. He tells Ezra he's being transferred to a different school, so he did fall off Lothal.
Yes, he did actually. Yeah.
So he just kind of disappeared there. Now, what's cool here? Let me take a look here. Trying to pull this up here. What's great about this character is, there's a lot of great things about him. But you would think, a lot of people are sitting there going, why are you focusing an entire show on a guy who was in 1 episode and 2 minutes of another episode? Because very few people realize is his story was fleshed out quite well by Jason Fry, the author, who wrote a four-book series, and these are, I guess, would be like kid readers books. They're, they're just less than 200-page books that he wrote, and it's all about Zare Leonis and his mission, which he discusses in the episode of Breaking Range, where he's searching for his sister. 4 books, the Servants of the Empire series. The first book is Edge of the Galaxy. Second is Rebels in the Ranks. Third, Imperial Justice. And the final book, The Secret Academy. And they all tie right in to the episodes of Rebels that you see him in. And it ties in to Rebels overall because the Ghost crew end up helping him in the end. And it was just a very great series of books. So it's definitely something you want to read. Let's go into a little bit of the biographical information of Zare Leonis, okay? First, Zare Leonis, awesome guy. He was a human male, Imperial cadet. He originally is from the planet Uquinus, Uquine, Uquine.
Yeah, that's a tough
one.
I looked at that too. I was like, I'm not really sure the correct pronunciation of that.
Uquine. I don't know. It sounds like it needs more cowbell. But that's where he's from. He has a mother and a father, Leo and Tessa Leonis, who moved him to Lothal so he could join the Imperial Academy. He does have a sister, Dara, who actually is his motivation throughout the books and throughout the episodes we see of Rebels. His sister actually was in the Academy, and disappeared. She basically just vanished, and nobody else heard from her. So his goal in joining the Academy was to locate his sister. And he goes into all that through the Academy. He starts on Lothal, ends up on a training academy on Arcanus, where he does end up eventually finding his sister. And of course, this is going from the series, from the TV series into the books. He ends up finding his sister, and with the help of the Ghost crew, ends up rescuing her. It's a fabulous story he has. Let's go ahead and get going here. But actually, before we do, I'm looking at our time. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, and we'll go into some details on Zare Leonis. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Aaron and David here, and we are talking Zare Leonis, a part of our new profile series. David, let's get into things here. What are your overall thoughts on this character, on Zare Leonis?
Yeah, like we said, I really enjoyed seeing him in those episodes and wanted to see more of him and really wanted to see the rest of Dara's story. You mentioned a minute ago, how the books really flesh that out. It'd be really cool to have seen some animated episodes of that. So again, overall, I'm just really happy we started off with Zare Leonis. When you mentioned it, I didn't even blink an eye. I'm like, absolutely perfect secondary character who is just going to be fun to talk about. Obviously, we get a little bit of him in Star Wars Rebels, but we really do get to see his character, his moral compass, determination, and really his good heart in the Servants of the Empire series, like I said, by Jason Fry. I love Jason Fry, his work, and gotten to meet him a few times at some different celebrations. Just been very nice. So, like I put a little note to myself, Zare is not the kind of person you want on your grab ball team. That's a big part of these Servants of the Empire books. But you want him on your side in the rebellion with his stick-to-itiveness and, like I said, his moral compass, determination. And he goes up against a number of crooked Imperial officers, even like Brendel Hux, deranged fellow cadets, clearly, and even the Inquisitor. who we see, Kanan battle in the Rebels animated series. And this kid, Zare, he lives to tell about it. So I just, like I said, overall, a very enjoyable character. Absolutely would have loved to have seen that animated, the rescue of Zare Leonis. I didn't get the books, but I did read an extensive, you had sent it to me. I read everything. I read this extensive review of all 4 books. I saw how they flowed into the 2 episodes, and I just really, already enjoyed the character, but just really enjoy him even more now. And I'll have more to say about really his character as we go on.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I love this character. And like I said earlier when we were opening the discussion, this is somebody I was thinking we were going to see a lot of, and we didn't, which was surprising to me, because they really built him up in Breaking Ranks as a big rebel spy. He was going to help them out, and he was staying undercover to find his sister, but he was going to help out when he could. It was really built up. And then when we got to see him help again in Vision of Hope, I was like, okay, we're going to see this guy. Even when they fled Lothal, I figured when he was transferred off, I figured we'd still see him again. And I was very surprised we didn't see him back in the show. Overall, this was a great to me. This was had to be the first person we had looked at. He like a lot of the characters, we got to see him on screen, but not a lot of screen time. But unlike a lot of the secondary characters we will be looking at through this series, he was fleshed out in these books. A lot of these secondary characters haven't had that experience or the opportunity to be fleshed out the way he has. Jason Fry did a fabulous job on those books, and I do highly recommend. I have all 4 of them. I've read them. They are absolutely incredible. His journey to find his sister leads him on a path that crosses his path with the Ghost Crew, crosses the path with Brendel Hux, and really ties in not only to what we're seeing happening in Rebels, but literally gives a glimpse of the future of the galaxy as well, with the First Order and stuff, which I found absolutely fabulous. When I was reading that, my mind was blown. So, just a great. This Zare was literally in the mix of it all, and was awesome to deal with. Looking at our favorite moment, because our favorite moments with this character. My favorite moment, of course. There's a lot of great moments he had in the book, and of course on TV, in the show. For me, there's a part in the book toward the end of the 4th book, after he's rescued his sister and everything, and he's on board. He's on board the Ghost, believe it or not. He's actually talking to Ezra, but he still does not know at this point, at the end of the 4th book, he still does not know that Ezra's name is Ezra. He is still thinking his name is Dev Morgan.
Right.
And I found that, that's what he went by. And he tried to tell him in Vision of Hope, but, they got interrupted by stormtroopers and nothing happened. He still thought he was Dev Morgan. And Ezra finally tells him, he goes, my name's not Dev. And Zare, it doesn't faze him that this guy he's known as Dev Morgan isn't really Dev Morgan. It's not his name. It doesn't faze him. He's like, my name's Ezra Bridger. It's like, nice to officially meet you, Ezra. And it's like, you're like, nonchalant. There was no care. You've known this guy for years. He's helped you rescue your sister, which probably played a role into why he really didn't care that his name wasn't Deb. But if you know it'd be like me finding out your name wasn't David.
Right.
I mean, that would be take me back a little bit. But it doesn't even faze him. He is just so on top of things and so put together. It's just, to me, that was literally probably one of my most favorite moments. That besides the rescue of his sister, which was awesome, the infiltration of the base with the Ghost crew and his parents and everybody. Really was a tremendous operation. The fourth book the whole operation is contained in the fourth book of this series. That one's called The Secret Academy. And you definitely, fabulous book. You got to read it because just to see how that operation comes together is great. And I love the fact too, they don't call Sabine, they're not calling anybody by their name except for Dev Morgan. And they're calling him Dev Morgan and his friends. And they talk about the Mandalorian girl and the Lasat. They're not calling him Zeb or Sabine. It's the Mandalorian girl, the Lasat. It's awesome. I enjoyed it. So great. A lot of fun moments there. What was your favorite moment with Zare?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few. Obviously for me, over the weekend, I went back and watched those episodes. You and I, we did our homework. I really went through extended synopses of all four books and just really enjoyed all of it. And for me, it is one of my favorite moments is Zare helping Dev Morgan, Ezra, inside the Imperial Academy on Lothal. There's a part in one of the books, as I was going through it, again, chronologically through all four books, where you really see Zare sticking up for some of his alien Gravball teammates. And apparently there's an athletic director, Giannis Furyk, that Jason Fry has in there. And this guy sounds like a real piece of work and wants these, people removed from the team. And Zare's like, no, they're part of our team and they're helping us win and all this stuff. And so I thought that was, again, showing his heart, showing his moral compass and stuff like that. And then, of course, hearing about ultimately, him finally tracking his sister down and saving her. So those are three of my favorite moments from this character.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, he's got a lot of great moments, and he's a fun character. David, why with Zare Leonis, in your opinion, going and knowing what you know about the books and what you've read, why is he important in the Star Wars universe?
Yeah, I knew this, when I was thinking about this particular question and put in there, I knew immediately the answer. He's important in Star Wars because he is really one of I put down sparks of rebellion that defies the Empire leading up to Episode 4, A New Hope. And, I think back to when you and I covered A New Dawn. I'm looking at it right here on my shelf by John Jackson Miller. And how John Jackson Miller describes these sparks of rebellion, these embers. And if you think about it, I remember back in what would be October of 14 when Rebels premiered. And it was a 1-hour premiere, and it was called Spark of Rebellion. And so as we get into season 1 and we get to Zare, I'm like, yeah, he's one of the sparks too, not just all the Spectres, not just Zeb and Ezra, and so on. But you can really see that he starts to see the problems of the Empire, and he really is that spark of rebellion. And then, of course, we see, Luke in Episode 4 and Han, and here we go. But Rebels really gives us, some precursor, adventures prior to that. And so I knew that was exactly, why he's important. There's more reasons for that, but he truly is a spark of rebellion, along with the other people that we see that are the good guys in Star Wars. Are you on mute, buddy?
I am. I'm talking and I am muted.
I was waiting for a response. I'm like, I know he's on mute.
Oh, yeah, I was. I just started talking in response. Forgot to unmute myself. Sorry about that.
Can I say something,
But so, Zare.
Carabast.
Carabast. Yeah, it's one of those moments. One of those moments. Anywho. Zare, he's a great character, and he's important. For me, when I look at this character and I look at everything he's done and the impact he's made in the Star Wars universe, he's important to me because I look at him like I look at Ezra, like I look at Ahsoka, and he proves again that it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what your age is, race, sex, religion, any of that. You can still make a positive difference on the world and on the people around you. And with him, he focused hard, he worked hard, and he achieved their goals. He rescued his sister. He found out where she was. He fought hard to get her back. He made an impact on not just on him, but on the people around him. Whether it was the impact he made on Ezra while he was at the academy, on Jai Kell, who was another cadet there, or even on, I just blanked on her name, his girlfriend, Marie.
Yes.
Marie
Spanjeff. Yeah.
Marie Spanjeff. I just couldn't think of her last. I kept seeing the last name, and I knew I could. I'm like, I know I need her first name, Marie. Yeah. But he impacted these people all around him, and he kept the hope alive that his sister was needed rescue, and he kept the hope alive that she was alive and okay, and he rescued her, and it was he made a difference, and I love the fact that we have a character like this, and outside of the Jedi, outside of, Ahsoka and Ezra are great examples, but they're Jedi. They have the Force powers. He's not a Force user. He's not a Force wielder. And he impacted and changed his galaxy and changed his world and the people around him and made an impact on his family and on others. And I love that. And to me, that's why he's important in the Star Wars universe.
Well said.
Thank you. So, yeah, Zare Leonis is just a great character. And I know you have a lot of thoughts on Zare when it comes to your psychology corner. So let's go ahead and let you jump into that and bring us in on the psychology of Zare and how he thinks.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And this really piggybacks off of, the things that you and I have talked about here in this profile episode for him. I knew immediately what I wanted to cover with him because he's a great example of a person with high EQ. Like there's IQ, but there's also EQ. EQ is what we call emotional intelligence. And what I did, Aaron, is I went back through all 8 of our psychology corners for season 2 of The Mandalorian, and I was like, wait, did I cover EQ in those? And I looked, and I hadn't. So I was glad that I hadn't. But I do think in previous years, because you and I have recorded together for quite some time, that I've brought this up, but not gone over it in this level of detail. So again, I thought this was a great opportunity to share this very important concept in the field of psychology with our listeners. And again, it's called EQ. And this, I don't have it in the show notes here, but let me just extrapolate a little bit for our listeners. IQ, or the intellectual quotient, is something that has been focused on by psychologists and psychological testing for years and years and years. And IQ became this really preeminent measure of people. But unfortunately, it's only one measure of people. Howard Gardner was a famous psychologist at Harvard for years, And what I really admire about this guy is he said, let's expand our view here and not just have IQ. So he talked about the concept, Aaron, of what we call multiple intelligences. So what are we saying? There's not just IQ, there's EQ. But in addition to those two, Dr. Gardner spoke about kinesthetic intelligence, right? Kinesiology is obviously the study of human movement. So kinesthetic IQ, Aaron and I are big sports fans. We talk about basketball and hockey and, all these Tampa teams that are winning world championships here and stuff this year.
Go Bucks.
Right. Bucks and Bolts and all this stuff. But one thing that we know, Aaron and I know this, is that everyone who plays on a pro hockey team, pro basketball, pro football, pro baseball, have very high kinesthetic IQ. If not, they're not playing in the pros. Okay. And so that's a third type. Another type of IQ is artistic IQ. You think about some of the greatest artists in the history of the world. These individuals do not have low artistic IQ, very high. And another intelligence that Dr. Howard Gardner talked about over the years was musical IQ. Like someone, if you think about people like the Beatles, or if you think about some of the greatest bands and their musical talent, or someone like Yo-Yo Ma, or some of the greatest pianists, or cello players, or jazz, saxophonists, these persons have high IQ there. So it brought this much broader view. As a clinical psychologist, EQ has been of huge importance because of the effect it has in marriages, in children, right? And how do they get along with their peers? How will they do in jobs, and so on and so forth. So what I wanted to share with you is that EQ is made up of 5 key areas. And again, we want to make our listeners good psychologists. So this is kind of fleshing it out, right, Aaron? It's not just saying, hey, here's EQ, but let me explain what it is. And I've spent a lot of time over the last, 28 years explaining this. So here's the 5 areas. I've explained it to parents and teenagers and so on. And this is what we're looking for. Number 1, when we look at anybody, are they aware of their own emotions? That's a big part of EQ. Some people are not. I've worked with people who they are not aware of their emotions, and it really puts them at a disadvantage. So we work on helping them with that. Number 2, sometimes you have people who are very aware of their emotions, but they're not able to manage their emotions. So in terms of number 2, part of EQ is, can that man or woman, can that teenager, can that child manage their emotions? Some people are good at it. Some people are not very good at it. Third, massive issue that we look for in people across this country, not just adults, but kids, is the ability to motivate oneself, not always easy to do, and the ability to resist impulses. This is a huge thing in life, right? Delay of gratification. Can we do that? Okay. A third aspect, like again, I've talked to thousands of clients about, is, let me brief little rewind. Remember, number 1, the first aspect of EQ is awareness of our own emotions. The fourth aspect of EQ is how aware are we of other people's emotions. This is empathy, right? This is huge. When people are empathic towards us, we want to be around them, right? And one of the things that I'll bring up another name, not just Dr. Howard Gardner, but Dr. Daniel Goleman wrote one of the original books in 1995 called Emotional Intelligence. And one of the things he talks about is when people are empathic, when they have high EQ, men and women, people want to work for these men and women, and people want to work with them, not just for them, but with them. And empathy is different than sympathy. I don't have this in the notes, but let me explain this for our listeners. Sympathy is one component, and it's what we would call emotional contagion. What this is, Aaron, is that people, like if you and I saw a guy with no arms, no legs, and he's burned over 90% of his body, you would probably have a sympathetic response, which is just an emotional response, and you feel bad for the person. Empathy has 2 components. It has the emotional response. Do we know how that other person's feeling? But there's a cognitive component too, which is called knowing how does that person see the world? Can I put myself in their shoes and see how they see things? Can I put myself in their shoes and feel or know how they feel? Okay. So empathy is huge. I did my master's thesis and my doctoral dissertation on empathy. Fifth component. All right. This is called the management of relationships. So when I've worked with children and adolescents, they're really working on two primary types of relationships. Can they get along with their peers, and can they get along with their parents? Now, I'll add something to that. When I'm working with children and adolescents, it's not only can you deal with parents, can you be respectful towards teachers and other adults in your life? Now, the second thing that happens as children and adolescents move into adulthood, we add two more types of relationships. So again, when we're kids, when we're adolescents, we're trying to manage two types of relationships, with peers and with adults. Once we become adults, there's two more. Can men and women manage work relationships? Can they deal with bosses? Can they deal with coworkers? In particular, can that man or woman deal with a boss who's a jerk? We've all had it. Can they work with coworkers who are not nice, cheat, say the wrong things, lie about them, etc.? It's a real skill to be able to manage relationships at work. And then the fourth one is a lot of the work I've done with people over the years, is if people decide to get married, can they manage a marital relationship? Not easy. Very difficult to do. Wish it wasn't so hard, but it takes work. So those are the 5 key aspects of EQ. And when I think about Zare, he's a great example of that because he is aware of his emotions. He manages his emotions. He motivates himself. He resists impulses. You can see it through the books, to tell certain people things or reveal his secret. He keeps undercover, and he focused, like you mentioned in one of your previous takes on him. He's an empathic person, right? He's caring for, like you said, Jai-Kel. He's helping out, Ezra and so on. And then he manages relationships with peers, with his parents. He's not quite working, although he's in the academy, and he's not married yet. But I remember reading a part where he felt bad about, his focus on stuff and hurting his relationship with Marie Spanjeff there. And so I thought that was pretty cool. But he really is a real good example of EQ, of emotional intelligence. So again, it gives me an opportunity to talk about that. We'll talk about that more. We'll pull that into future Psychology Corners aspects of it. But there you go, Aaron.
Very cool. Very cool. That definitely fits there to a T. I'm glad you were able to share that. And this is going to be a fun series. I can already see that.
Right.
So, all right. So we are going to take one last break. We will be right back with more Star Wars reactions. Welcome back, everybody. Aaron and David here. We just wrapped up our discussion of Zare Leonis, the first of our profile series. They will be coming. I think we discussed every other episode we're going to be doing this, right?
Right.
So there's going to be a lot more to come. And I, of course, as we approach, I will drop little clues out about what our next profile will be. And of course, we want to know what you think of Zare Leonis as well. Do you like the character? What are your thoughts on him? Hit us up online. All of our social media is available and open for communication. On Twitter, it's SW Reactions Pod. Facebook, Star Wars Reactions. And of course, Instagram, SW Reactions. And of course, you can always email us, show at Star Wars Reactions as well. So don't miss out. Also, make sure you have subscribed to our social media pages. Today, the day we're recording this is Tuesday. Today we recorded, that's coming out totally wrong, and I carabass this moment again. We're recording this on Tuesday, so today actually was the kickoff of our Star Wars Reactions trading card Tuesdays. So I flooded our social media accounts with different Star Wars trading cards that I got. This and this will be happening every Tuesday. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a moment of that. David, if somebody wants to talk Star Wars with you, how would they go about doing that?
Oh, definitely. And I did want to say this before I give both of those. I love that you put that little picture of Zare, keep saying Zare, Jadkel, and Ezra, and said who we're going to profile here, and that was pretty cool. So I like those little hints. I like that you're going to do that. All right. In terms of social media, 2 spots for me. One is Twitter, and that is at David_Modders. And the email is david@StarWarsReactions.com.
Excellent. And of course, if you do want to talk Star Wars or anything with me, you can always hit me up. The best place is Twitter. I almost gave you the show Twitter, but you can hit me up on my personal Twitter at TAHarris121079, or of course email me Aaron@StarWarsReactions.com. So a lot of great things coming. We got a lot of great stuff planned. Keep an eye out next week. We will be also relaunching our Fan Film Fridays. That starts next Friday. Of course, we release this Wednesday the 17th. It won't be this coming Friday. It'll be the following Friday. So every week we don't release a show. We will be sharing a fan film for Fan Film Friday, and just alternating weeks. So it'll be fun. A lot of great things coming. A lot of great things. David, my friend, this has been a blast.
Absolutely, buddy. And not only do I appreciate you putting all that out, I want to tell people too that, Aaron was the one who started this and has continued it, is the JAT videos from his JAT 365 book. And so Aaron's been posting those. I've been trying to like and retweet all those. And Aaron's given me some previews of some of the fan films. They're incredible. I watched one he sent and I'm like, holy mackerel, these people are really good. And so credit to Aaron for really, getting this content out there. So thanks for doing that, buddy.
No, I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun. And hopefully y'all are enjoying it as much as we are. We do thank each and every one of you for tuning in and for hanging out with us online. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are the greatest listeners out there. We want to thank you for all you do. We want to thank you for listening. And we want you to know, of course, 2021, we still got stuff. World's still a crazy place. We're still here for you. Stay positive. We're praying for you. We will make it through. And there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel, my friends. So with that, thank you for listening to Star Wars Reactions. This is your place for elegant discussions for a more civilized age.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@StarWarsReactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.StarWarsReactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.